to The Green Pretenders,
a sustainably challenged podcast.
My name is Sian.
And my name is Simon. And this episode, we are going to talk about US politics. It's been an intense couple of weeks.
It has. And hopefully by 2021, the world's going to look a bit different.
Yes. Joe Biden. Many newspapers and media outlets have, declared him the winner of this 2020 election. And I'm not going to lie, Sian, I was convinced that it would be Trump.
Me too. I think I had a self-preservation vibe going on, where if I just convinced myself that Trump was going to be re-elected, there would be less disappointment. So I fed into that and almost convinced myself to the point of absolute certainty, like, Trump's going to be re-elected, that's that, end of the world.
Yes. I think the referendum in 2016 and then the last US election have just taught me to, be careful with my expectations and to basically be a pessimist, because then you can only be positively surprised. And in this instance, that is exactly what happened.
Totally. Did you stay up all night watching?
I didn't actually. Do you know why? Because I didn't have any Wi-Fi. And maybe that was a good thing.
I think for your sake it was. You didn't miss much, I can tell you.
Yeah, but you stayed up, didn't you? Or
I did.
Yeah, for a bit.
Well, no, the whole night. I just sat.
The whole night?
Yeah, but it was basically just hours upon hours of them going, we still can't tell. It's too close to call. It's too early to call. We can't tell. One of them will win. One of them won't. And just imagine that on repeat for like 12 hours straight, so...
Yeah, oh my God, it must have been so tense.
It was really interesting, all of the commentary around it. And I was watching ITV's coverage mostly, and they had some really, really good contributors on. So it was cool from that perspective to just be learning more about the system and about what each candidate may or may not bring.
Yeah, and that is actually a good point. What even does it mean for the climate, for the environment, but also for the fight against climate change? What does a Biden win actually mean?
It's easy to be really, really optimistic, isn't it? And I think we should be optimistic because ultimately it is a 180-degree turnabout for one of the most influential countries in the world, because we've gone from having a climate change denier who prioritised like the fossil fuel lobbyists and flat earthers and whatever else bloody stuff, not to judge, but come on. And from that, we've now got someone who categorically believes in climate change and believes in America's responsibility to do something about it.
It actually shows us that the majority of the US people probably do think that climate change is real and that we need to do something about it. It's just that whoever leads this country kind of gets us a perception of the country as well. So we think, oh my God, in America, everyone runs around, it's like, it's all fake news, which is actually not the case. So yeah, I think this is a huge step and a representation of a different side of America, let's put it that way.
So maybe we should talk about what we think, the best case scenario, what we know Biden wants to do, and let's not focus for a bit on whether or not he'll be able to.
So during his campaign, actually, already, he said that he would take America, the US, back into the Paris Agreement. So Trump has taken us, US, out of the Paris Agreement. And Biden is going to bring the US back. And actually, he tweeted that he would do so within the first 77 days of his presidency.
Twitter's become the main source of announcements for big political choices, hasn't it? It's mad. But,
yeah,
but the fact that he's put it on Twitter, he can't take that back.
Yeah, it's out there.
He's also said that he wants America to reach net zero emissions economy-wide by 2050. And that is, quite an ambitious thing.
It is an ambitious goal, and we can't forget that the US is the biggest economy on this planet. And that means that it contributes 14% of all greenhouse gas emissions. And to go net zero by 2050, that's a big deal. It means a lot.
Yeah. And then in Donald Trump's time as president, he has really kind of screwed over a lot of green initiatives, and he's put legal challenges out against things, and he's tried to roll back climate and environmental policies that Barack Obama had worked on before him. And again, Biden has pledged to sort of reverse it. It's kind of like just having to ping back a lot of crap that Donald Trump has done. The Clean Air Act and the Clean Power Plan and all of these things that Donald Trump did his very best to block because, you know, he's pleasing his cronies in the oil industry and things like that.
Yeah, so I guess it's bad news for people in the fossil fuel sector.
Yeah, and that's 9 times out of 10 probably good news for the rest of us, I guess.
And this net zero by 2050 target actually aligns the US with, I would say, the rest of the world. Like, probably not every single country. I mean, definitely not every single country. But the UK, the EU, Japan, so big global economies have that goal. And yeah, our research actually showed that China has pledged to be net carbon neutral by 2060. So, you know, it would even align the US and China almost. I mean, yeah, obviously better.
One of the things I feel like is going to make such a big difference as well, which is, I guess, less measurable or less tangible, is the fact that Joe Biden is led by science. And whereas Donald Trump has spent so much of his presidency suppressing scientific reports or questioning or denying or falsifying, like just, you know, calling fake news on everything, regardless of the evidence at hand, regardless of what's true, we'll now have a president that will not be engaging in that sort of scientist suppression. And maybe this is way too idealistic, but I feel very optimistic and hopeful at the fact that there's going to be a guy there saying, do you know what, this is real, and let me hand over to the experts to tell you more.
Yes, exactly. It's a president that actually, I want to say, speaks the truth. I mean, that is a very, idealistic statement, and maybe all politicians are crooked and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's at least someone who isn't known for blatantly lying, which Donald Trump, quite frankly, is. It's crazy. In the first day, he told 90 lies or something crazy like that. Okay, don't quote me on that, but, you know, he lies a lot and he's known for it. And yeah, Joe Biden seems more honest.
And I think there is a risk, I guess, when we're coming from a more liberal left-wing perspective, that we end up hero worshipping Joe Biden and rewriting his history to make him out to be brilliant, honest, with so much integrity, and there's a middle ground. But when the alternative is that stupid, turd-faced, lying SOB, I just, no.
And, you know, I think it's not going to be an easy ride at all. Like, the Republicans, it still looks like the Republicans are going to have a stronghold on the Senate, which will make it really, really difficult for Biden in many ways. But there also, as you said, there are executive orders, and he actually unilaterally can take the US back into the Paris Agreement. So, you know, there is a lot he can do. And also, maybe he will be more of a negotiator. Maybe he will be able to actually bring some Republican senators on the side of the fight against climate change, you know. Yes, there is a lot of hope, and I think it's one of the best things that 2020 has given us.
Yeah.
And how excited are we about his running mate? I mean, I think that is the more radical thing, actually. I'm so excited about Kamala Harris. Like, yeah.
She's so brave. Like, I've seen her speak out against gun ownership in a way that a lot of American politicians are scared to do because you can't piss off the NRA. She just speaks for what she knows is right. And I think with climate change, she won't be scared of pissing people off, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't forget that a lot actually happens on a local level, on a, you know, city, state level, and it will just boost all those activists and people at the front lines of the fight against the climate emergency. It would just, give them a boost of positivity, and it will help their efforts enormously. I don't know how you feel, but it has really given me a boost of positivity and some extra strength to keep going on and keep fighting and keep believing that there is a better world that lies in the future, especially when this pandemic is under control.
And of course, for Joe Biden, the pandemic is going to be a huge priority when he first comes into office.
Yes.
So he's going to have a lot of crap to deal with, and maybe the climate won't be his top priority. But when the pandemic's over, the world's going to start changing.
Yes. And I believe that the economic recovery is tightly knit with the climate emergency and a green recovery. And the chances of that happening in the US are also much, much higher with Joe Biden in office.
So in summary, we're just wanting to indulge in the optimism of hopefully what could be to come over the next sort of 5 years.
Exactly. We just want to celebrate a little bit.
Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. Yes. Woo! Oh, and one last thing. You know, Trump has his Make America Great Again hats.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the number 45 on them because he was President 45. So he's got his hats. Joe Biden's got a hat that just says, "We just did," with the number 46. So when they're alongside each other, it's like, "Make America Great Again."
We just did. Nice.
It's so cool.
That is cool.
Should we do some eco whoops with all this joy?
Yes, let's do some eco whoops. And boringly, but also I stand by it, mine is Joe Biden's win. That is a massive global eco whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. Well, I think equally groundbreaking and completely world-changing is my eco whoop, which is recyclable tape.
No way, but it is groundbreaking. Tell me more about this.
Well, it's like basically paper but gummed with like a degradable substance. So the gummy bit biodegrades and then it's just paper that can be recycled.
Paper.
So it's like fully recyclable / biodegradable tape.
Nice. I need to get some of that. You need to send me the link or tell me where you bought it. Where did you buy it?
That's a good point because obviously a lot of stuff like that, the inclination can be to jump straight to Amazon. And, you know, sometimes the Amazon option is the cheapest, but we've got to resist it, especially because Jeff Bezos is going to be getting even more money than usual over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So guys, please resist the Amazon. It's just not the way. So I was looking for an independent seller and I found a company called And Keep, and they do all sorts of different sustainable and green solutions. So yeah, it's called And Keep. So I got a big roll, really thick, like packaging style roll, and then a normal sort of sellotape size roll. And it is more expensive than buying sellotape from the shop. I'm not going to pretend it's not. Both of those plus postage cost me £8.20. But for me, the amount that I've been using tape recently, it's worth that.
Great. Okay. What is your eco whoop hoop this week?
My eco poop's on a similar theme, and it's when you do order something online and then they send it in like non-recyclable plastic packaging, and that stresses me out. But it's fine because we can turn the poop into a whoop by just making sure that we keep all the packaging tucked away in a cupboard, reuse it next time you're sending something, keep it going. No biggie.
Yes. And also maybe send an email to the company and be like, I love your product, I hate your packaging.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, put pressure on the businesses.
Love it. What's yours?
So mine is a recurring theme in this podcast. It is single-use plastic for takeaway. We're in lockdown too. A lot of restaurants and pubs actually are doing takeaway beer. And it frustrates me that means that more single-use plastic is being used, is circulating, is often thrown on the pavement, which is also very frustrating because it encourages people to litter. And I don't see why we cannot have an alternative, or at least attempt to have an alternative. For example, if you go to Pret and you get a filter coffee, they literally do not need to touch your cup. They can just pour it in. I don't know, maybe I'm being silly and maybe scientists would disagree with me, but there's probably also not a real solution, especially not a quick fix for this pandemic, which hopefully won't last much longer. But yeah, I just have to say it does frustrate me, and we need a solution.
Yeah, for sure. And it's annoying when so much of it, I think, comes down to people trying to make sure that they're not liable for anything.
Yeah.
So the facts of it or the logic of it are a bit out the window. Like with Pret and the cups, technically it doesn't make sense, but they just don't want to be held liable if something. Yeah, it's just a pain.
Yeah.
Oh well, this virus has an expiry date. End of 2020, it'll be over.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does have an expiry date, and
yeah,
there are, like, in the near future, hopefully there are solutions to it, and we just have to stay positive, and Christmas is coming up, and yeah.
Holidays are coming.
Holidays are coming. Nice.
Don't you get corona.
Right. I think that was such a lovely positive note, I think, that we just wanted to put out there.
We're living in a world where it's kind of getting a bit hard to focus on things, isn't it? And so why not let's just embrace what's happening and try and see the good in it. And I personally feel quite pumped up now. I feel like I'm going to go have a little boogie around the flat.
One more thing to say, Sian, where can people find us online and celebrate the win with us?
You can find us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at Green Pretenders, or you can drop us an email with some Joe Biden gifts if you like, thegreenpretenders@gmail.com.
And always remember, the pod is always greener.